Good morning, everybody. We are live. It is Monday, August the 27th. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope things are going well for you. Today, I'm going to give you a lot of information that should help you make a better choice when you're picking a vehicle. And specifically, what I'm talking about is after the hailstorm. Colorado Springs and most of the Front Range of Colorado has experienced massive hailstorms over the past 3, 4, 5 years. My house got hit in 2016, completely wiped out the roof. Luckily, the cars were in the garage. But, we're talking about what's happened the past 6 months here in Colorado, and it's been pretty devastating on people. And the car market has been pushed into a crazy flux because of it. And so I want to give you some tips today to help you understand how to navigate through that a little bit better if you've lost your car to the hailstorm. If you're first time here, if you're new to joining me on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and also hit the bell so you'll be notified when I do more videos. We're going to be doing more videos like this in the future. So to bring you this information, please subscribe. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and subscribe to @AutoSearchUSA and add me to your subscribe list. So lots of folks have gone through the hailstorm and lost their cars. I'm getting tons of phone calls from people who are telling me that they need to sit down. They need to plan out what's going on for their next vehicle because they've lost it all. I mean, one day they're driving their kids to work. The next day, their car is completely toast. And so they've got to figure out what to do. And they're kind of thrust into this position. They weren't expecting to purchase a car. They weren't planning to buy a car. But bad news, you got to buy a car right now. So a lot of these folks had current loans. So they were driving a vehicle that they still owed money on. And basically now those loans still have to be satisfied. And you're waiting to figure out what you're going to get from the insurance company. Today, if you've got any insurance people that are tuning in, go ahead and please post your comments in the box. If you're willing to reach out and help people for free to just give them education, we would love that. So please post those comments in the box. So the first thing you need to do is call your agent. I get phone calls from people and they're like, well, I wonder if I should call in a claim. And I'm like, man, you lost your back window in your car. And they're like, yeah, I can probably get that fixed pretty easily, but I don't want to file a claim. And I'm like, okay, what if water got in the car? Your warranty on your vehicle is not going to be covered if you have water damage to the vehicle. So if you broke your glass and you got water damage in the vehicle, what you want to make sure is that all of your coverages, all of this stuff is fixed back to where it was. So you're not guessing that the water isn't going to cause a problem, not today, but 2 years down the line. And then you take that in for a warranty fix and they tell you, we're not going to fix this because it's got water damage. So first thing, call your agent. Your agents are there for you. They're there to take care of you and make sure you are made whole after a complete total loss, or even if it wasn't total, they're going to help you through that process and help guide you through what you need to do to get all the money that you deserve for paying your insurance on time. So that's the first thing I would do is talk to your agent. They're going to know people. They're going to know people that fix cars. They're going to know people that do body work. They're going to know windshield people. They're going to have all of these answers for you so that you don't have to go reinvent the wheel and do it yourself. The second thing I would talk to you about is slow down. So many folks are trying to get these cars replaced lickety-split. They just want to get what they had before, which when I look at these situations, I'm thinking, well, that car didn't fit your family like it should have, and you want to do it again. And so it's something, it's a time for reflection. Like, was the car servicing your needs? Was it fitting everybody in the car fine? Do you have a baby on the way now and you need to move to a 3rd-seat vehicle instead of the 5-seater that you had? So it's a time to just take a day and just think about it, or call me and I'll give you some advice on what car you should be looking at that will fit in your budget. Let's talk about gap insurance. So if you don't know, GAP, Golf Alpha Papa, gap insurance. It's a really good item to have. It's a low cost item. If you're going to take out another long-term loan on a vehicle, I would not do it without having gap insurance. There are some specific reasons why not to buy it, like you're putting half the money down on the car, or if you're putting your trade-in's worth a lot of money and you're only financing a small portion of the actual value of the car, then gap insurance may not be something that you have to have. However, for the majority of people out there, gap insurance is super important for protecting yourself against a hailstorm or whatever, losing the car in a total loss accident. Let me explain this to you. So most people don't know this, but if you have full coverage insurance, they have a specific value that they will cover your car for. So when you wreck the car, you get into an accident, then they go and do their research and they tell you, hey, we're going to give you X amount of dollars. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that number is $20,000. But in your mind, you're like, I owe $25,000. You financed all of the taxes. You didn't put any money down. You financed the extended service contract. You financed the negative equity that you had in your other car. You roll that over into this particular loan. And so now you owe $25,000 on a car that your insurance company is only willing to pay you $20,000 for. So how do you cover the gap? At this point, most people will think, well, I got good insurance, it's going to cover it, right? And I'm here to tell you it's not going to cover it. So gap insurance is a low-cost way of doing it. It's $300 to $600 in one-time payment, and it covers the entire length of your loan. Even if your loan is like 84 months, it'll cover the entire length of your loan. So having gap insurance to make sure you have that backup protection is amazingly important for you guys to have. If you're looking at a long-term loan, don't do it without gap insurance, okay? Wanted to get that out there today. So just to take we're in the spirit of giving information right now. So when I look at the rates, you might be thinking you had a great rate on the car that got totaled, or you had a good rate on the vehicle that was wiped out in a hailstorm. So right now the rates are starting to creep up, but as I look on my screen here, if you're looking to purchase a vehicle that's a 13 to 18, so basically a new car all the way back to 2013, you can get a five-year loan for around 3.99%. That's 3.99%. That's like a great rate. It's listed for people with over 740 credit, but if you go to less than 740 to 720, then the rate's about 4.39. So make sure that you at least are educated. You know what the rate should be if you've got really good credit. There's some 0% programs you can take advantage of. Honda has some 0.9% finance rates on pilots right now, so you could look at that as well. It's just good to be in the know. You don't want a dealer or anybody telling you what rate you should qualify for. You should know what you qualify for before you go into the situation. That way, you know how to protect yourself. Okay, tips for picking the right vehicle. So we've gotten to the part where we've got the hailstorm, you lost everything, and now you've got to rebuild and restart. And I told you up front a little while ago that you should stop and reflect. And what I mean is take a minute to think about how that car was servicing your needs. Outside of the wants and likes, people, wants and likes always cost you a lot of money. If you know me, you hear that quite often. Wants and likes cost you a lot of money. And I try to keep the wants and likes below $5,000. So, when you're looking at a car or a house, the wants and the likes should be like way down the list as far as what your decision-making process is. So when I say think about the car you had that you have to replace, I'm talking about think about, the gas mileage. Think about, did it fit all the kids properly, or was it too small? Maybe the car was too big and you really didn't need all of the room that you had. And so it's a good opportunity to downsize at this point in time. So, once you start really looking at those things and making a financial decision instead of a impulsive, emotional decision, you can really set yourself up for success owning vehicles for the next 12, 15, 20 years. And that's what I like to do with my clients, is make sure we're not just looking at what's going to happen today, but we're looking at how this car is going to service you as we move through time. So, think about, did you really have to have the sunroof? Did you really have to have leather? Did you really have to have navigation? How many times have you used the navigation? These phones are massive now. Just got the Note 9 and it's as big as a vehicle screen. So do you really need to spend $3,000 more to have a sunroof and navigation? Or do you just want it? And so your common sense is gonna mess with you because you're thinking, I hear this very, very often. Like if I'm telling you you can buy a Highlander for $35,000, that's going to be a 17 used or a 16 used without leather and a sunroof. Common sense is going to tell you, Ronnie, just get me a 14 or a 13 that's got everything I want, and I'm still going to finance it for a long period of time. Well, I'm going to challenge you and say, hey, look, guys, why do we have to have the leather in the sunroof and give up the warranty that we're getting in a 16 used or 17 used just to get the leather and sunroof? And now instead of a 40,000 or 30,000 mile car that we're going to be able to purchase, we're now looking at purchasing a vehicle that's got 65 or 70,000 miles on it. They clean up these used cars really well. And so you can see them and they're pretty and they start pulling on your heartstrings and they get really emotional and you're like, I'm excited about it. Well, that excitement is a red flag. It's something that is in your wallet. And so think about how you want to live your life for the next 15 years instead of how you want to live it today. And so that's hard to do in our immediate gratification world that we live in. But I'll challenge you to do that. Think about giving up a few of these wants and likes so that you can make your car buying process a lot easier. I love seeing people get vehicles that are still under factory warranty. It makes my job a lot easier because when you call me with a problem, all I've got to do is say, great, let's take it to Toyota. And I'll help you set that up and manage that process. It's a lot more difficult when you take out a loan for 72 months on a vehicle that today has 75,000 miles on it. You won't even pay that car off for 6 years. Come on, guys. You're not going to pay it off. It's going to get to 120,000 miles. You're going to want to get rid of it. You're going to owe way more than what that car is worth. And it's going to be a bad story. And so, step outside of the box. It's not a badge of honor to have the best vehicle or the best equipment on the vehicle, because once you park that car at the movie theater and get out of it and walk into the movie theater, nobody cares anymore. Once it's in the garage and you're sitting down at the dinner table, nobody cares about how nice your sunroof is. So if you can, withhold getting some of that stuff, you can basically set yourself up to have less maintenance, less cost over the next 3 to 5, 6 years. So I know I'm sounding like I'm preaching today, but I see it quite often, and I really want you to make a good decision when you're buying a vehicle, especially if you were thrust into this moment because of a total loss or a hailstorm. So the next step, you find a car and you're ready to go. You're ready to replace your vehicle. You got your loan approval done. I get a lot of people that tell me, they found a car that looks really good. And I said, well, did you look at the Carfax report or at least check the car out by your mechanics? And they tell me, well, the dealer says it's fine. And I'm like, okay. Well, a lot of this stuff does not have to be disclosed. Vehicle accidents don't have to be disclosed. Total losses do. So if the vehicle, I have one on my screen, a Carfax report, it's got you probably can't see this, but it's got a big red triangle there. Total loss, structural damage. Those types of things have to be disclosed when you're purchasing a vehicle. But accidents don't have to be disclosed. People just assume it has to be disclosed. We weren't disclosing it before Carfax came out. And so basically now, what I do with all of my clients is I actually print the Carfax and we both sign it. So we have a recorded document of when that transaction occurred and what that showed on the Carfax at that point in time. So, Carfax is going to cost you probably $30 to look at it, but if they're a reputable dealer, they should have access to that so that you can take a look at it yourself before you sign all the documents. It's also a good idea to have it looked at by one of your mechanics that you trust and not just their mechanics. So up to you, but definitely if you're having to purchase a car right now and you're going to go into a long-term loan, you should at least start out in a positive manner. So let's see what else. So, talking about this hailstorm has become like a weekly thing, guys. I mean, it's been super hard on people. I've had one client that lost a car in a hailstorm, bought a car from me 2 weeks later, and now that car is in the shop because we had another hailstorm. So if you have the time and you have another car, I would say let's just process what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with planning it. I love doing that with people. Sitting down, looking at your situation, putting the numbers on the screen, and then you go home and think about it. And think about when you're going to be ready to do this instead of I got to get it done today. You start thinking about that. Am I getting it done today because I just want to, because I feel emotionally attached to it, because I feel good about it? Those emotions are going to cost you money, guys, every time. So I hope I was helpful today in helping you navigate through this. You know, I didn't want to take up a lot of your time, but you know, this is a devastating time in Colorado. The market is super high. Supply and demand is crazy. You know, for every one car out there, there's got to be 15 people looking to purchase that car. So getting yourself educated before you make a final decision for the next vehicle would be way up on the list. So, all right, I've got a couple of minutes here. Debbie McDaniel, she's saying that she had gap in her work. Thanks for sharing that, Debbie. Yeah, people don't know about it. You know, gap insurance is late in the transaction when you're working with a dealer, and they'll tell you about it. But you should definitely look into it, especially if you're going to finance a car for longer than 5 years, without a doubt. Let's see if we had any other questions. Still getting used to this thing. I don't know how to bring these questions up in real time, but you give me about 3 weeks and I'm going to have it down. So let's see. Questions.
Real time?
Uh-oh.
But you give me about 3 weeks and I'm going to have
That's going to cause a lot of feedback.
So let's see.
Okay. I don't know how to get to the questions without scrolling this way. Hey, Chris Haskins, how you doing? So in closing, guys, I just want to leave you with, it's tough right now. You lost your car. The rental companies, they don't have a lot of cars available. Your insurance company, I'm sure, is calling you, telling you need to do something. I've got lots of customers like that right now. But slow down. Make an informed decision. Make sure that what you're doing, you understand this is going to affect you for 5 to 7 years. And even longer if you make a bad choice, because, you know, these things aren't set up for you to win. They're set up for you to continue to stay in the consumer mentality and continue to buy. Someone else just had a question that popped in. Stan, what's going on, Stan Harden? Yeah, I mean, if you know, here's how I can help Stan. I may not be able to get a car in Idaho, but I can definitely help her with free advice. So give her my number, have her call me. I'll help diagnose her situation, and that way she can make a good decision. Sometimes I can get used cars for people out of state. It's a little bit more difficult, and new cars are super difficult because I don't know the people in Idaho. However, I do deliver cars to people that I know all across the country. So have her give me a call, Stan. We'll talk to her about it and help her make a good decision. And that's for any of you guys out there. You don't have to purchase from me in order to get my advice. You just may have to wait a little bit until I can get back to you. But if you got a question about your specific situation, give me a holler. I'll let you know exactly what I think. And be prepared, though. You know, I'm always going to challenge you with, is this an emotional decision you're making? Or is this something that is going to actually service your family for 6, 7 years? And if so, let's talk about that. Let's make sure you're making a good decision. So thanks for joining me. And if you have any questions, post them in the comment box. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And we love having you today. We'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.
No, I was asking.
Good morning, everybody.
Oh my goodness, I
Our
don't hear
live
it.
is Monday.